Oh, hey, look at all these guys just watching us.
Oh,
Hey,
hi.
there you are.
Hey.
What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning in to the Uncanny Cult Pop Podcast, episode 3, legacy numbering
803.
803.
4.
A show where 804?
804.
804.
It is 804.
We're one behind. 804. Sorry.
A show where we talk about comics, movies, TV, games, food, news, freaking friendship, and all the things that scratch your nerdy itch. We're coming to you live from Manayunk Studios,
Manayunk Studios.
Philadelphia's
Go on.
most unique broadcast and video production space, capable of accommodating any audio-visual need you may have. We also live here now, and we'll have to be escorted off the premises.
You gave them a jingle now. I don't know, like
Again?
The Manny Young Channel.
Manayunk Studios.
I that's
I like how it finishes with that smile.
yeah.
You gotta
you,
finish this.
You
Yeah,
sold it.
Yeah.
Listen, just you sold it. Anyway.
You're already failing, Terry.
What's happened?
Same slide.
There we go. Terry's the producer, and he's freaking killing it. I'm your host, Johnny Destructo,
He needed to read that.
of Johnny Destructo. Wait, where
I
am
don't know.
from?
I don't know who I am.
Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA. I'll tell you what, it's a super rad shop that caters to the nerd and the nerd adjacent of all shapes and sizes, except for jerks. No jerks allowed. You can call me JD, Jadles. I'll respond to whatever. I don't give a shit. With me tonight, and in the order of sweetest to smelliest, Len the Bat Tribble.
What's up? Holla at your boy.
Brian Lieb, I can smell you from here.
And I'm only the midway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, there's vomit in my mouth.
Chew it back. I'm here all night.
So yeah, welcome to the show. Terry's failing again.
He protests that he is not.
You guys
It's
can't hear
unfortunate
him.
that
He
you
is
can't hear it.
walking out in
It
the
sounds
studio.
it sounds like an angry man in like 4 rooms away,
Yeah.
just like screaming
Yeah.
for help. It's so it's sad, but also like kind of encouraging.
I'm delighted.
Yes.
Listen, we're at the top of the show. We're almost done, you would think. We'd like to thank all the listeners for being here with us, whether you're here live or checking it out later. If you dig what we're doing, and I can't imagine that you do, please comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification ding-a-ling, like the bitty-bitty-bitty-bitty, so you know when we go live and add new content. Additionally, we want you to engage with us. So get in the chat and hang out with us so that we can talk back and forth with y'all.
Yes.
Like Robert Monroe Jr. is in the chat saying, "Good evening, Cold Poppers." Hal2814 says, "What's up?"
What's up?
Topical reference, Len.
They're bringing it back.
And Christopher Goodnight says, "Hey, you brought back the real Colt Poppers,
I guess that means
Brian."
Brian?
Me or possibly Len or the combination of me and Len.
no,
I mean, he's 3 weeks late.
we upgraded
Yeah.
last week and had Sushan.
Oh, somebody else was here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, in this chair
You're
or different
better.
chair?
We were in different I'm actually
I'm
sitting
better.
No.
I'm
Thank
actually
you.
She is, you're better.
No, I don't understand.
that came out correctly.
Yeah.
She sat in this chair and I'm just trying to get like good juju out of it.
Yes, because she
Yeah.
was fantastic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
I
I didn't watch it. I didn't have anything to do with it.
And to be fair,
Yeah.
she is an original cult pop.
Is that right?
Original CultPOP.
Yeah,
She's
Really?
OG. She's
Yeah.
more OG than all of us.
I didn't know that.
that's true. Well, not all of us.
JD
Well,
is
okay.
more OG.
I'm the
OG JD.
All
I'm
right,
the
there you go.
OGist.
I'm the OG Jadles. So yeah, she took offense to that. Christopher Goodnight. We had Sushan on as a guest because someone else wasn't here, and so he was like, "Oh, I can't wait for the real show. Where's the
Someone
real
who
show
cares.
coming back?" And so
Somebody.
she was highly offended, understandably. Speaking of listeners who offend us, we have 2 letters.
We have letters.
We have letters.
We have
We
letters.
have letters.
We've
got lots and lots
of letters.
It works so much better when we're not like 4 screens.
I like the sort of almost in a round, like an unintelligible round,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it starts at random times.
It's an oval.
Yeah, it's in an oval.
So this first letter is from Chris St. Saucy Goodnight. The
Excellent.
aforementioned Chris St. Saucy Goodnight He says he's talking about Black Panther, which, if you stick around, will be the main thrust of our show tonight after we get to a couple of segments. Our main review will be Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So he is giving us his take on it. So I liked the movie. Of course I liked it. But did I love it? Probably not. There was a lot to enjoy, but also a lot to take me out of the movie. Things I loved: Angela Bassett and Winston Duke, to name a few. Also, Riri Williams. I don't know anything about her, but I loved the way Dominique Thorne portrayed her. I thought Namor was fine, but I don't know enough about the character to nitpick. He sort of looked like him, but sort of didn't. They gave him a version of the green Speedos, but there was that weird, to me, nose thing. Once again, they pulled off the sympathetic villain well. He wasn't wrong in his reasoning, just in his methods. The rest of the Atlanteans, well, not what, Tulakan? Tulakanians?
Tulakai, I think that I saw. I read someplace. But Tulakan is what it was that their land was called.
Yeah,
name of the city.
Yeah, they're not Atlanteans, they're Tulakai. Even Namora and the warrior guy didn't stand out. Aside him, he looked like a hammerhead shark.
Accurate.
The
Things I
didn't
didn't like were Okoye and Nakia's suits for the final battle. One looked like a knockoff Power Ranger, and one was just garish and unpleasant to look like. I think one of the suits was based off of a design that was done in the
comics.
Ta-Nehisi coats.
By
Midnight Stelfreeze.
Yeah, Midnight Angels.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the new ship that looked like a dragonfly and both versions of the Ironheart suit, though I will question the time management of building it and painting it right before the battle. I get the studio wanted it to look cool, but the movie doesn't make sense to waste the time. The big things that took me out of it were Letitia Wright being the lead with everything about her in the news and wondering what it could have been if Chadwick hadn't died. The story relied so much on his death that I wonder what the script would have been like. Chris St. Saucy, good night. Excellent email, Christopher St. Saucy. Sly is in the chat. Sushan, Christopher, good night. I'm pretty sure we're enemies now. To which he responded, LOL. So I think
he's laughing it off.
I think they're definitely enemies.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a nervous laugh.
Yeah.
Because it should be. We could probably address almost all these things in the main review.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to touch on
that.
Yeah.
Can I real quick, just because I don't think we'll get to this in the main review, the building of the Ironheart suit, they print out a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
They 3D print a lot of stuff. So they were probably just like, make some stuff red. No extra time involved.
I do find stuff like that. Chris, you're valid, but I do find stuff like that usually kind of reductive because your suspension of disbelief lasted so many things, but it's like, well, that would have taken 2 hours, not 1.5. If the movie was poorly done and you had time to think about things like that, then maybe sure. But
if you're sitting there in the midst of a bad film, then your mind is going to pulling stuff like. But you make allowances if you're wrapped up in the world. But the rest of it, like you said,
I'm going to get to because I agree with them with a couple of things.
Yeah.
I don't.
We should go through it again maybe when we're doing the actual review and touch on them.
Sweet.
So we'll do that in a little bit, Chris. Thank you so much for writing in. And
appreciate it.
We got another email. Hey, Cult Poppers, it's your boy Charles in Chattanooga, aka Hal2814. I hope everyone is doing good, Len.
I'm doing fine. Thank you.
No?
I'm all right. I'm here.
Brian?
I try to do good wherever I can.
When Titans first aired on DC Universe,
I love it.
like many, I was like, they ain't my Titans. With the excessive killing and cussing and Dick being so brooding, that's not the Dick I like. I kept saying, well, come on, guys. How old are we? Really?
He did it on purpose.
41 and I want to hear about the Dick he likes.
He did it on purpose.
I don't know if he did it on purpose. I kept saying, well, it's an alternative. Although he did have like 5 ellipses afterwards. It was like, it's not the Dick I like. That's
literally waiting for a rim shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kept saying, well, it's an alternate world to convince myself to keep watching. Eventually, it turned into hate watching. Then something happened. Don't know if it was moving to HBO Max or new writers. Dick, aka Nightwing, was actually smiling and joking during fights. Beast Boy was turning into other animals, not just a tiger. The last story Storyline was so-so, but the show as a whole was getting better. Now, after watching just 2 episodes of season 4, I'm all in. My question for the crew was, was there a TV series or comic that you didn't like at first, but for whatever reason you ended up liking it? P.S. Noel?
I did it on purpose. Yeah. I like it.
How's your fantasy team going, huh?
Oh, dude. Somebody put a timer for 30 seconds so I don't talk about it for too long. So as of last week, I was in first place, and it is only an 8-person league. So it's like very easy to be in first place and then immediately get it ripped from you.
Yeah.
I lost this week by 1.4 points, and now I'm in second place, and I'm about to play first place this week with like 5 prime players on their bye week. So I'm just straight effed. I'm not happy. Half of like the other players I have are on injured reserve or doubtful this week. It's like that middle of the season slump where everything sucks. So I'm just trying to like hold on. If I can win my money back in second place, it's okay. I'll be happy. But
it's week to week.
No, it's like overall, but I just got to stay in that upper echelon, like because you could lose it so fast in a small league. But yeah, it's good overall. Lots of shit talking because it's high school friends. So for a week, it was lots of diatribes about how I'm on top of a mountain and they're all garbage humans that deserve to die under my feet. Yeah, this is all of course. So I mean, that's the fun of it. Just kind of like talking the most awful trash.
That's cool.
But thank you.
Yeah, that's nice of him to check in.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Friendship. Hey, the CultPOP logo, which is there, this little guy. See, it's a little soda. I don't know if you can see it. It's a drawing that I did of a soda can, and he's real excited. He's got the bug eyes, and he's got the drool, and he's spurting out some soda.
Version of him that you can put as an overlay there.
We need a name for him. He doesn't have a name. So email us at cultpopgo@gmail.com, and maybe you'll win a prize.
Is there anything you guys have hate watched or read and to the point of liking it?
And then wound up liking it.
So I can't think of anything, but I do like I can speak to Titans. I watched the whole first season.
Yeah.
I hate watched the whole first season. And then I just stopped. I think I tried the first 2 episodes of the second season.
Yeah.
I was like, nah.
Yeah. I'll tell you though.
So you haven't been back?
No. Can I skip to like now? Do I have to watch what's
not
3
really.
seasons?
Not really. I mean, because stuff does happen, but like he said, the 3rd season was kind of meh.
Yeah, I'll watch a recap of season 3, and I'll watch the first 2 episodes of season 4. Maybe.
Don't get me wrong. That's only if you want to catch up. Like if you really don't care, then skip to season 4. But
it's like picking up a comic at issue 45. Like you're not going to go back and read 1 through 44.
If it's really good.
I mean, it's not that I shouldn't say you're not going to. You might not.
Right.
You know what I mean? You might be like, new storyline. Let's do it.
I made it through the death of Jason Todd was like the first episode of season 3, I think. And what? Yeah, the first episode of season 3. And I was just like, oh, okay. That all happened in 1 episode. I'm done.
It's just so edgy. It's not even the cursing and the violence.
It's way too
just
edgelordy for me.
Even like the aesthetic of the show is like an era of comics that I do not enjoy.
Yeah.
So it was
it's
just
very
like,
grimdark. But like Hal is saying,
if it's good dick, it's good dick.
I love good dick. That's Terry.
It's good dick. It's good dick. There are
booth.
things that I've enjoyed over time. You know, like I'm like the only person that I know that likes all of Lost.
Oh, I like all of Lost.
Yeah, Lost is good.
And the further I'm from it, and my expectations aren't a burden, I'm like, I actually really do like how they wrapped it up.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. It was weird for sure.
I'm not sure I've ever hate watched anything.
Oh, I absolutely
right?
do.
Well, I've hate watched stuff.
I just
but
don't.
It never
watching.
turned.
I hate watched all of Smallville.
Really?
Like there's like 8 goddamn seasons of Smallville.
So
I
10.
Watch
there
10.
are 10 seasons.
10?
I have them all on
why
DVD.
Like, why did
I
you
think
keep watching it
because it was all we had at the time, right?
Oh, I guess
as far as superhero shows.
Sure.
And there was just enough in there that I would gain a little tickle here and there. But some of the the dialogue was it tried so hard.
Yeah.
Especially Allison Mack's character.
Hey, I know that she's in prison now, but let's not talk poorly about Chloe Sullivan because I will still marry her.
Yeah, we'd still marry her.
I mean,
I got a picture
Chloe
taken with her.
Sullivan.
Yeah.
Really? When?
Oh, back when the show was still on.
Where is it?
I don't know.
Where's
Yeah,
the
but was
picture? Show me the picture. Where is it?
See, my understanding was Hate Watch was like, I'm watching this because I hate it so much. I want to see how bad it is. Right? Like, not that there was enough that you would enjoy it.
There wasn't enough.
Oh.
There was not enough.
Oh,
like
right.
there was little things that I would be like, oh, there's a nugget there. There's a nugget there that I enjoy. But overall, the show was terrible.
Oh,
I enjoyed it.
you watched it for the Superman aspect of it. Like that's what because it was all we had at the time.
Yeah.
You said.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it too.
Although
I did stop at like season 4, and I still have not seen season 4.
I watched every goddamn moment of it. And I know it's bad, but I did wind up enjoying it. Especially, you know what? The later seasons when they gave less craps were just really
Jeff
fun.
Johns evenally comes on as a writer.
Yeah, so does James.
Justice
stuff was
Society.
cool.
James Robinson comes on as a writer.
Cool.
When they got rid of it's so weird when they got rid of Lex, because the first like 5 seasons really were the same thing over and over and over again because they couldn't progress the characters. When they got rid of Lex for like 3 seasons, it just became a different show. When they allowed all the characters to actually be their age, like holding jobs as adults, I was like, this is actually pretty good now. But when you're on for 10 years, I guess you just have to.
So have you not hate watched anything then?
I hate watched Arrow, but it never turned.
Yeah.
And then I gave it up. Now I did joyfully watch Flash, and it turned into a hate watch around the third season, and then I said I'm done.
4 was for me.
Yeah.
Season 4 for me.
What a bummer. I was real hype about that show when it first came out.
Yeah.
You used to watch it.
I am like half season behind though. But I intend to watch the rest of it.
It's
but
still
it's
on?
certainly not. There's one more short season. Yeah.
I'm by short season, like 16 episodes. It's still a lot.
Oh, is it? I thought it was like 9.
I don't know, but I know that like CW TV shows are like 25.
I'll tell you a show that I don't know. Hate might be a strong word, and I'll admit it now.
Angry one.
Just like, I really don't need to be here. And that was Black Lightning. I honestly was not 100% feeling Black Lightning, but I felt like I had to watch Black Lightning. So I watched Black Lightning. And especially when I realized that, not a lot of people are watching Black Lightning, it's like, oh, all right, I'm here, dude. I'm here.
I think he was good. Like the main guy was really good.
He was all right.
All of that expansion of like the CW shows just happened at the same time that my interest fell off a cliff. So I didn't watch all of them.
Yeah. And like, it was almost at the point where I was like, I have to watch Black Lightning, even though I'm not really feeling it, because I'm liking Stargirl, and I'm feeling guilty about liking Stargirl.
I haven't watched Stargirl's
good. But it was feeling guilty about liking Stargirl and not liking Black Lightning. So I gotta stick with Black Lightning.
I can't imagine what you mean.
I hate watched Crisis. I think we all hate watched Crisis.
I didn't hate watch Crisis.
Yeah.
You love watched Crisis?
I watched Crisis, and there were parts about it that I loved, but also that's a more complicated discussion.
Did you fail this universe?
Okay, we gotta keep this moving.
Keep it moving. So, we lost another great this past week. They've been dropping like flies, my friends. Kevin Conroy passed this week. He's in his 60s, I think. 66.
Yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Kevin Conroy is the most famous Batman voice, right?
Yes.
I think you could take away voice.
Yeah.
The most famous Batman. Well, he's not the most famous Batman.
I think he's the
amongst us.
I think he's the most prolific Batman.
Oh, sure.
He's the most prolific, but to his point, like people might not always know that name.
People not in our circle don't know Kevin Conroy.
Right. As much as they know Michael Keaton was Batman, Adam West was Batman.
True.
Yeah.
Although I bet a lot of people know Kevin Conroy's Batman as a main Batman.
Well, they know him. They know that when they hear that voice, they're like, "Oh, that guy."
I was gonna say like maybe they don't know his name, but if you literally had 2 voices and like which one's Batman, it's Michael Keaton, Pattinson, Affleck, literally all of them against Conroy, they'd be like, "That's Batman.
That's Batman.
That's the Batman."
And that's because while he was first comes onto the scene as Batman in the animated series, he is so iconic that he then is on every other animated series as Batman.
And I think there were a couple of times where he's like, I'm done. I'm done being Batman. And then he just kept being Batman.
I kind of thought it was like the studios were like, you're done. We got to find a new Batman just to move on.
Yeah.
And then they were like, all right, we're not.
No, I think I think he priced himself out, and then they kept going back.
Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, because like when they were doing a lot of those animated movies, they were casting other people, like James O'Mara. I don't know, the guy that they casted for all the connected animated movies.
Like the New 52.
Yeah.
Stuff.
So like it was like, oh, we're gonna move on from Kevin Conroy, and then it was like he's doing the Arkham thing, and so it was like the projects that they maybe had the budget for, or maybe like wanted the prestige for.
Has anyone played the new Arkham Knights game?
No, I've never played any of them.
I was curious. I know Batman's supposed to be dead in that. I didn't know if maybe
is he the voice in that?
Is he the voice?
Probably.
Because I know he was in the Crisis crossover as the Kingdom Come Batman in the future.
Yeah.
He's got an exoskeleton.
That he was that version of Batman the one time that he played him in live action, when he could have so easily have been the Batman Beyond Batman.
Oh, right.
Grumpy old
bats. Yeah,
right.
So
you know what I think the thing about him as opposed to the other Batman actors is those guys are all kind of their version of Batman, whereas Kevin Conroy is just Batman, right? And part of that is because he's drawn to look however they wanted him to look, but he just so typifies the Batman experience in a way that none of the live action actors quite do. You know, he was also on Cheers. He was on an episode of Cheers.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Dynasty too, I think.
Is that right?
Yeah, he was a soap opera actor.
as
Batman on both Dynasty and Cheers. It was the crossover.
Yeah.
Dynasty Cheers episode.
Yeah.
80s, man.
He walks in and has a beer with Norm.
Hal's in the chat saying, whenever I read a Batman comic, I hear Kevin's voice in my head. R.I.P.
That's the thing. Like his voice is synonymous with Batman, and I think it was brilliant and very beautiful that I think it was it last year or maybe a couple of years ago that DC did their Pride issue? And he had a story in there where he, embraces and about his story of coming out as a gay man and wanting people to realize that the iconic voice of Batman is presented by a gay man.
If you've not read the story, it's very good. He actually frames his searching for the character, Bruce's struggle with his own struggle with identity, being a closeted gay man in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very good.
That's very good.
I haven't had a chance to read it, but
I heard I'll get to it. A story about when he first took on the role of Batman in the animated series that he had no idea about the character at all. And he was like, oh, it's like Hamlet, right? He's like avenging his father and his friend. And they're like, oh, I guess, it is. And then by the end of it, or well before the end of it, he's giving them notes like, well, I don't think Bruce Wayne would act this way.
So funny.
He had such a handle on the character. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, he was awesome. By all accounts, a very, very cool gentleman. He will
be greatly missed.
And Rob Patey's in the comments saying, don't forget all the video games.
That's what I'm going to say. That's why he is so iconic. Like, it went on from just animation to the video games, specials, and things of that nature. Like he is Batman. Now, right now, the person that is probably second as far as the voice of Batman in animation or in video games, I guess is either a tie between Diedrich Bader, who does him in Harley Quinn and also did it in Batman Brave and the Bold, and Bruce Greenwood, who does the voice in Young Justice.
Again, Jason O'Mara did it for like 17 movies.
Really?
Yeah, he did. But you know what? I can't
hear it.
He didn't.
He's just gruff.
It didn't resonate.
Also, I hate most of those movies, so it didn't really resonate.
Oh, I enjoyed a lot of the DC animated films.
We should.
No, but he's thinking about the ones that connected. Did you really love
those too?
So
in Under the Red Hood,
Greenwood,
it was Billy Baldwin.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a great animated film.
No, wait. Are you looking that up? Because actually, Billy Baldwin was Crisis on Two Earths.
Checking now.
Which
Hang on
is
a
Terry's
second.
Googling.
literally my favorite DC animated.
That is my
movie.
favorite
It's a
one
good-
too.
It is
animated
so
thing.
goddamn good.
Yeah,
It's so good.
Billy Baldwin
It's
versus
James
James
Woods
Woods.
as Owlman.
As
Let's
Owlman.
make that
Yeah.
a main review. Everyone needs to watch that again.
That
Ooh,
that
I'm
is
into
that is my
Yeah.
favorite. That's my
The best
favorite
one.
DC animated.
All right.
It's like the
it's an
third
upcoming
one.
main review.
Like
Yeah.
the
All right,
peak
what do you
You're
got?
there first.
What do you got, Terry?
Points to null.
Yep, Bruce Greenwood.
Under
Bruce
the red
Greenwood.
hood. My mistake.
I love you. It's cool.
Nice. All right. So
Hey, before you move on,
yeah.
somebody named the logo.
Oh, so Rob Patey wrote in the comments. We're talking about calling, giving our logo a name. He says Fizz Popplestein.
Let's put
So,
it in the log
We'll
here.
put it in the log,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I like just reading that. I would like to also throw out there Fitz, not Fizz,
Fitz.
because it's an actual name.
Yeah.
Fitz Popplestein or Poppelberg.
Popplestein.
Fitz Popplestein.
Fitz Popplestein.
I like Fitz.
Fitz. I think Fitz is really strong. I like Fitz because we talked about this a couple weeks ago, Rob. We didn't necessarily want it to
Your
be
input.
up. Yeah. You're garbage.
We don't mean that, Rob. We love you. We love you. That was quick though.
A proper. It shouldn't be a proper nickname. It should be a proper.
It should be a name.
An actual name.
Sam Costa is also in the chat saying strong pop.
Like strong bad?
STRAWNG pop.
with a straw.
Strong. Yeah.
This is my strong.
Just kidding.
pop.
That's not a real suggestion. I don't know. We're laughing. It's pretty
It's
good.
been entered into the suggestion log.
It's in the log.
It's in the log now.
It's
You
in
might
the
win.
running. It's
You
in the
can't-
running.
You
Sam.
can't escape this.
All right. So it's a time of the podcast where I ask each of these gentlemen,
Oh.
and I'm going to start with Len. Len,
Don't start with me.
Do it now.
what you been up to this week?
It's like a,
I watched the Netflix series Inside Man, starring Stanley Tucci and David Tennant. It is a 4-episode production. I know BBC has, I think they are co-producing it or whatever. It deals with Stanley Tucci's
Stinky Sushi.
Stanley Stucci.
Finky Fooky.
his character is on death row, just waiting to be executed for murdering his wife, which he seemingly gleefully admits to doing in the most horrific way possible. But while he is on death row, he has developed this reputation. His reputation for solving other people's solving murders, like unsolvable murders. So people are bringing cases to him,
interesting.
and he susses it out almost like Columbo-ish from death row. Like he never leaves. They tell him the story, and then he figures out who kills, who murders.
Why does he do it? Just for like the fun, like the interest of it?
Well, that's part of the story.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
want to give that
Okay.
away. But his story dovetails with the tale of this math tutor who shows up at the home of David Tennant, who plays this vicar in this English village, to tutor his son, and then goes missing.
The son or the tutor?
The tutor goes missing. And the way that those stories dovetail, there's also like this crime reporter that pays a visit to death row to interview Tucci about
Stinky Tucci?
Stinky
Tucci.
about
Big Sam.
about how he does all these cases. The way everything blends together in just 4 episodes is really kind of dope. It's really it's cool. It's as deep as it gets. It still feels like a little whimsical, a little bit. David Tennant may play the world's stupidest man in this movie,
but he's good at it, right?
But he's so good at it.
He's good in everything.
He's really good
He
at
is
everything.
really
Yeah.
good.
He is so good.
And one of my favorite things about the BBC and the way that they put shows together is, he says 4 episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Sweet, right?
Yeah.
We started watching. This is not my one thing, but it was between that Inside Man and The Devil's Hour on Prime Video,
Okay.
which is with Peter Capaldi.
Mhm.
So it was like, which crime drama do we want to watch with a former doctor? And we started Devil's Hour. When I'm a couple more episodes into it, I'll probably make it.
Cool, make it a John. Noel.
Yeah.
What you been up to this week? Huh?
Well, we were in a post-Halloween horror mood.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched a little film that came out earlier this year called The Black Phone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I heard good things about that.
I have said good things about that.
It is direct. Did you get to watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Joe Hill John, so of course I was on it.
It's his original, like from his story, right?
Yeah, Joe. Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. He is also a writer. He's one of my favorite horror writers right now. He's famous for Lock and Key, which is a really great graphic novel series that's also a Netflix show.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he wrote a short story and then they made a movie out of it.
Yeah, so it's Scott Derrickson directed, written by C. Robert Cargill, starring
Meth Teeth.
Meth Teeth.
Meth Teeth. What's his name? Meth Teeth.
Ethan Hawke. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ethan Hawke. And no one else.
Meth Teeth.
What's up with Ethan Hawke's teeth?
He's just got a lot of. It's like they're.
Do you get more teeth when you do?
Yeah,
meth?
when you do meth. When you do meth, you just double in. You're like shark
I
rows.
know that.
Rows of shark teeth.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, all the way back.
So
That's interesting.
it's a rough movie.
Doc, I got this cat. What do I want to do?
Yeah, a little bit.
More teeth.
Early 80s, somebody is snatching kids, and then you literally just follow one boy who gets taken. His sister just happens to have visions in her dreams and helps try and
As one does.
Yeah. And it becomes like a two-handed story of the boy in the dungeon or in the basement dungeon. All he has is a mattress, a toilet, and a black phone that is not connected to anything.
It's like on the wall. One of those old school.
And her mission, trying to help the police with her visions, trying to find where her brother is located, and all of these ghosts might be helping both of them. It is really well done. Ethan Hawke is so fucking good. It's chilling. The mask in this movie
awesome.
Is the coolest thing I've seen in a horror movie. Is it a horror movie? It's a thriller. It's a horror movie.
It's a thriller.
I wondered,
it's almost a family-friendly horror movie.
Right?
It's light.
Really?
It's a light horror.
There are 2 acts of extreme violence, and they come in the 3rd act of the movie.
Okay, which makes sense.
Yeah, but it's very. I wouldn't say tame. It's more imagination than on the screen.
Yeah.
But the mask that he wears the whole time, it's bifurcated. Like it's a click mask. So like it's the whole mask, but you could change out the mouth or just wear the mouth.
Yeah.
So there are times in the movie where he needs to convey something and it's a frown face or no mouth or a smile, or he'll take the eyes off and it's just the mouth and his eyes.
Nice.
We never see his face.
You never see his whole face.
Yeah, you never see Meth Teeth's whole face. What's his name? Ethan Hawke. I can't remember his name.
It was really, really good. Highly recommend. Very good.
Where did you
it is
see
on Peacock.
Yeah.
It's streaming exclusively on Peacock.
Robert Monroe Jr. says, my daughter and I went to see The Black Phone in the cinema. Had no idea what it was about. Surprisingly good.
Who mentions reminds me of Summer of '84?
That's Sam Costa. Says reminds me of Summer '84, but not just the tone. Just the tone, not the plot.
Oh, I was gonna say, you know what? I didn't see that was Sam. We watched Summer of '84 together. My bad.
Nice.
I thought somebody else had seen that movie and like
I've seen it.
Somebody else.
It's a slow burn.
It's also got the best kid violence I've seen in a long time. Kid.
Cool.
Because it happens.
That's a big thing for you.
That's all he wants out of movies is kid on kid violence.
But
yeah,
you're right.
I run a kid fight club.
Yeah. You're right though. There is a scene in Summer of '84 where they don't cut away, and it's shocking because the whole movie hides and cuts away.
Yeah.
But it was really upsetting.
Yeah, it does.
It's a very upsetting movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, another thing that I was doing this week, I wanted to squeeze in real fast because I still read comics, baby. Captain America: Sentinel of Liberty by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. They're about 7 issues into their new run, and it's very much a revisitation of espionage Captain America.
Is it Steve or is it Sam?
Steve. This is the Steve book. The Sam book is more conspiracy. This is, well, actually, they're both conspiracy. Either way, this one is kind of bubbling to the top because of the grand plan of it all is a little bit more enjoyable to me. there's a new Illuminati in the Marvel universe.
Oh.
The the Outer Circle, they call themselves, and it's a 5-pointed star. Essentially, the Captain America shield is a symbol for the Illuminati, for a new Illuminati that they call themselves the Outer Circle of the star. And then each point is a member of the Outer Circle.
That's cool.
But he's not a part of it.
No,
Right.
It's just their machinations over the centuries also were responsible for his design.
Oh, I got you.
His creation.
Yeah.
And it's just it's like really like, will they go too far and spend 40 issues explaining this backstory that just gets boring? Maybe. But right now, it's actually a really good spot to jump on Captain America if you've been off of it for a while. It's nice.
You heard it
And
here first,
the
or
art-
maybe second.
The art by Carmen Carnero is really, really great too.
Yep. Brian, what you been up
Hey.
to this week, huh?
I was reading a book called Peace Talks. It's part of the Dresden Files series, which is a great series, right? And I think it's like 18 books at this point. And I came onto it after 15 or 16 had already come out, and I read straight through them. And then it was like he wrote another series for a little while. So it's been about 5 years since anything has come out, right? The deal is it's urban fantasy, a wizard, private eye, down on his luck kind of guy who in the very beginning is the wizard council. He had to kill his uncle because his uncle was a bad wizard and he was trying to kill him, and he had to kill him, but he's like under suspicion from the council. And so he's got all this going on. And every book is enjoyable in itself, which is great. And it builds and it builds. And now we're so deep in the story, like, various things have happened that have empowered him in different ways. He's gotten into different spots of trouble and whatever. And so I remember like 85% of what is happening. But sometimes they'll say a name and I'm like, oh, it was like 7 years ago that I last read this book. But I'm back in it. It's great. This one, a bunch of powerful groups within the supernatural community, the Wizard Council, the Svartalfs, whatever, they all got to come together for some peace talks. And somebody tried to kill one of the leaders of the Svartalfs. You guys.
What?
Yes.
Can you spell that for me?
I can. It's different than I've seen it before. It's dark elves from Norse mythology.
Svartalheim, right?
Yeah, Svartalheim.
Okay.
He spells it Svart, Alfe.
What
I
an
realized that I
idiot.
just said Svart, as though that is a common word that you all know.
Smart.
It's
Yeah.
Svart,
That's
Alfe.
It's like when you get hit and you go, ooh, that's farts.
That's the
Fucks
part I
with
was
me.
uncertain on
Yeah,
how
yeah,
to
yeah.
spell in my head.
That
You're
is
like,
right.
it's
right.
this. AS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me spell it for you. S. Walt.
It's a 2-character word. You have to know the characters.
Quarrels.
It's a SVART.
Yeah, okay.
Svartalfheim.
I'm visual. I try and see it in my head. That
Sure,
makes
sure.
sense, yeah.
So you recommend the
I recommend it, especially if you want to get into a series that's got a lot, right? Like you want something that there's going to be more of.
Yeah.
It's good for that, because each one is enjoyable, but then it builds on itself.
Mhm.
And then you're in it and you're like, I'll read another one. And I'm in this world for longer,
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Have you ever tried Criminal Macabre?
No.
Okay. Similarly, so I think I don't know if there's like a you can only have so many of these types of characters in your existence, or like the things that you enjoy. But there is another type of character who's like that, who's like Constantine, John Constantine, right?
Yeah.
Like smoking and
Oh,
kind of a
those
piece
are
of
cool.
shit,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
kind of noirish kind of character with a trench coat. There's another one called Cal McDonald, and he's in a book called Criminal Macabre. And so he is another one of those types of characters who's used to be a cop, and he is investigating supernatural happenings.
Okay. Does he have any power himself?
Nope.
Oh, he's just in it.
He's just a guy
Okay.
until something terrible happens to him
Oh.
much later.
Oh, okay.
So like the character develops and changes throughout the history. It's written by Steve Niles, who created 30 Days of Night.
Okay. This is a graphic novel.
It's
It's
Ah.
everything.
it's novels
Okay.
and graphic novels.
That's cool. What
So
did it start as?
Started as novels.
Okay. That's cool.
But you can get an omnibus, a nice little hardcover that puts in chronological order, like the short stories and the comic book as together.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Very cool. So if you enjoy that sort of thing, I would also recommend Criminal Macabre.
I love it. Urban fantasy is a very cool genre that I don't know that many examples of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's like American Gods, Neverwhere, that kind of stuff. I really like it, and I would like to know more about it. There was a Dresden Files show for one season. Very different. You know, it was great. It was Paul Blackthorne was the guy who played Quentin Lance on Arrow.
Yeah, right. The sergeant or whatever.
Yeah. Who I always liked.
Yeah,
and,
he's good.
It took me a while actually not to kind of see him in my head, even though some description like explicitly contradicts what he looks like. But very different from the books, but also very cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well,
have you been up to anything?
I've been up to a couple of things, Noel.
What is it?
Monster Mania 52 hit Philadelphia. Well, Oaks
smacked it in the face
this week, and I dillied and I dallied, I hemmed and I hawed, but one of my all-time favorite horror movies was Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and one of my first heroines was Nancy from the Nightmare on Elm Street series, who was played by Heather Langenkamp. So I finally, it was like $260 to get a picture with them. And I've never paid money to have a photo with strangers before. But there was something about this particular thing. And I finally pulled the trigger. I actually drew a shirt because there's a lot of Freddy shirts, not that many Nancy shirts. So I did a portrait of Nancy, Heather Langenkamp, and it said "Screw Sleep," which is a line from the first Nightmare on Elm Street. And I wore it to go meet her and have my picture taken with her and Robert Englund, who plays Freddy. And Terry has it. We sent it to him. If you want to pop it up at some point. Nope. It's probably in the chat. So it was a lot of fun. Robert Englund and Heather Langenkamp. I really geeked out. I've got a big dumbass grin on my face. It's a really funny
picture. Did they say anything about the shirt?
Nope. Yeah, she saw it. And she was like, "Screw Sleep." And then Robert Englund goes, "We got a regular Andy Warhol over here."
Nice. I knew that you made the shirt.
I guess so.
Yeah. It would be a weird
there it
comment.
is. Well,
that's awesome.
Can't see it on the stream, but it's there on the television.
Looks like she has.
Here it is. Look at my big dumb grin.
Yeah,
so that's
cool.
That's Heather and Robert. No. And there's the shirt. You can see the shirt I wore. And I printed that image on a tote bag for her and gave it to her as a present.
Oh, that's really cool.
So yeah, I got a picture with both of them and she signed it and it was awesome. And Monster Mania Con is a really quaint, smallish convention that they have in Oaks, Pennsylvania. It was delightful. I went back for a second day to buy some DVDs and some novelizations like books. I
was always wondering about that, like what the experience of the Monster Con is like, because like the comic book convention can be a little bit imposing, but that has a little bit of everything. So what
can I experience? Can I jump in on that too? Because I also went. I brought my wife and purchased a experience for her as well. She got to meet Devon Sawa, which is, I guess, a big deal for her.
I don't know.
Casper, he was in Casper the Ghost. He was in Final Destination. He was in Idle Hands.
He's got a banging Twitter.
He's currently on Chucky.
Sam. Okay.
But she was very excited and
that's cool.
Looked just as happy as JD in that picture. But I was expecting more of a Comic-Con experience where it's a lot of large retailers and or brand names, or like DC is there and Marvel is there and they just have a thing. This was like an art flea market.
That's what I figured.
That's cool. It was and because it was like an art flea market, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Like handmade stuff, bootlegish stuff, or really cool like redesigns of things, posters, masks. Like it was like, I thought that we were just going to go for a picture and maybe walk the floor a little bit. We were there for like 4 hours, walking the whole place. I picked up a couple of Blu-rays and DVDs.
That's a big area, Oaks. So
you know what? Like it wasn't so big that you could see the back wall and it was like perceivable. Like not like some of the larger cons like New York Comic Con where you're just in a sea and you don't know where the edges are.
Right.
But it was like massive enough to be like a really good Saturday afternoon. It was super great. I will totally go again.
dope.
Yeah.
That's dope. Cool.
Yeah, and then Noel had sent me a picture of, because the movie Fright Night is one of my favorite vampire movies from the 80s, aside from Lost Boys. And there was a sequel, Fright Night 2, that you can't find anywhere. But then Noel sent me a picture and was like, they got a bootleg of it on Blu-ray.
It's really good.
With like a menu and everything.
Yeah.
So I
Menu,
literally
special
went
features,
back
like, it was
on
great.
Sunday just to go get that. And then I wound up buying a bunch of like Friday the 13th movie novelizations.
Had you seen this before, or this was like the first time you saw Fright Night 2?
I've never seen Fright Night 2.
Ah,
So yeah.
I watched it. If you like Andy Warhol art style vampires on roller skates, it's your movie.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds cool.
And then the other thing I wanted to bring up real quick before we get onto our main review or our Geek Eats section is Len, a week or two ago, had mentioned what he had been doing that week, and it was Atlanta.
Yeah.
Is the show over?
Yes.
Frick.
This past Thursday was the
Final
series finale.
I had been dipping in and out, and I kind of just forgot about it. But the passion that you showed when you were describing the show to us got me hyped. And so I went back, and me and my wife have been going through and banging out a bunch of episodes. And I got to say, such a good show, such a good recommendation. I second your recommendation. Are you guys watching Atlanta?
I watched the first season. I'm gonna go. Like, I don't think I need to rewatch the first season. I'll go back and watch it because the show kind of changes tonally.
Oh yes.
So I remember the relationships. I remember the setup. I don't think I need to go back and rewatch it. Yeah,
that's all you need.
Because I know how they're all related. We're good.
And it just gets better and better as it goes. It gets weirder as well.
It's that's what I heard.
There's some weird stuff in that show, but you just gotta get in, dig your heels in, and get along for the ride.
One of the articles I read, the terminology that they use, especially for the third season, was something Afro surrealism.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which,
and
I was like, okay.
I like that. It's apt. I don't think you need to put Afro on
just
it.
surrealism.
It's surrealism.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
That
heard
sounds cool.
Donald Glover
I love
had
surrealism.
described it as Twin Peaks with rappers.
This is Donald Glover's show.
Yeah,
You know what? You're totally right. Because like when we use the terminology like Afrofuturism, it's based off of the idea if never taken from their homeland, the kind of future it could be.
Exactly.
Versus Afro-surrealism is just putting
Afro
a prefix.
Surrealism has
that doesn't make any sense.
As opposed to just it being surrealism.
You're absolutely right.
I had a really good bowl of Afro cereal the other day.
Versus
it's
the surrealism that would be created if not blah blah blah. That doesn't make any sense. You're right.
You
know what? That article is trash.
Joke just hit my
ear. I saw it sliding through the air.
I was cuckoo for him. What can I say?
Trying to power through it.
Do you notice how many cereal mascots are like
black?
Yeah. There's
Lucky Charms,
and then
the Fruit Loop guy.
No, they're all like driven mad by these cereals, right? Like these are like significant problems.
Okay. Captain
mental
Crunch
health issues.
Captain Crunch is not driven mad.
That's true. He's a stern man of duty.
Meanwhile, you've got like a sociopathic rabbit, a really
stern,
upset Lucky Charms, like
a steroid tiger.
Yeah, a steroid tiger.
Stern.
You know what? Tony is beefy as shit. That's not natural.
No,
a steroid tiger. Three brothers who should not live together.
Snapcrackle
Pop.
Do they live together?
I mean, the impression I get is that they like literally share a bed and wake up in the morning and have cereal.
That's
That's
true.
just that's weird.
There is proof of that.
Yeah,
That makes sense to me.
When
But
you
the Lucky Charms guy
when you
is
said
just trying to live his
cereal,
life.
that starts with an S. And waking up in bed and having something that starts with an S, I didn't think you were going to say cereal.
Oh, sex.
Yeah.
cereal.
Yeah.
The
That's
podcast.
what Noel calls sex.
This, yeah.
Let's have some cereal.
Can I snap crackle inside your pop?
I like that there's two things that happen.
Yeah, I want to snap and crackle
My
inside
Lucky
your
Charms in your Twix.
Ooh.
Ew.
All right, so that's that section. Speaking of cereal,
Oh,
Len, before we move on to our main review, let's do your section.
Let's do some
Geek Eats.
Geek Eats, ladies and gentlemen. Presenting Funko's Flash cereal.
now Len, it looks like it's called the Flash. There.
It does.
Wow, it does.
Let's have some of the Flash.
The Flash, fastest man alive. TM.
It does say the Flash.
Yeah.
So it's multi-grain cereal.
Multi-grain
tasty
cereal.
treat
That's cool.
Yes, from
Yo,
Funko.
there's a Funko inside there.
I know. I don't believe
shit.
there's a Funko.
Oh,
in
can I
there.
Rip
have
it
it?
open.
It's probably a send away
If
thing.
there's a Funko in this Flash cereal,
It says includes, so it's like this big.
While he's doing that, have you guys ever like gathered the UPCs and ordered something like a mail away?
Never.
yes,
No.
Never in
back
my
in
life.
the day.
I got the GI Joe. It was a guy. It was a specific figure that had a jump pack, like a jet pack.
Cool.
I got him.
Was it with the like a parachute kind of thing?
There's
I don't think
Those
so.
deal- No. I once
Smell it. How's it
ordered.
smell?
There's no smell.
There's no smell.
Is
That's harder than there
cardboard?
being some
Oh,
kind of
That's
smell.
weird. It just smells like cardboard.
It smells like the
Void.
box,
It
right?
smells like the box.
A void of smell.
Yeah.
See,
Right,
see,
he
you
didn't
thinking,
believe
no,
Yeah.
you're thinking, don't eat it yet. Don't eat it yet.
Yeah,
Don't
I
eat
gotta
it
try
yet.
it.
Take one to smell
Not yet.
it
Not
alone.
yet. No,
Maybe
no,
the
no, no.
box
Give
is
it. Let it.
The box is overpowering
Yeah.
the son of it.
You never know. It
They
doesn't.
just smell like cardboard.
It's the
Yeah.
the absence of smell is a really terrifying thing.
I know. All right. So let's
It's like
pour-
that sound
pour some
that
out.
drives you
So
mad.
pour it
when you
out.
smell
So I'm
something.
about
So
to.
first point number one.
Yeah.
It has no discernible scent.
Now,
which is really
here's
cool.
the color. What's that? Like
That's the color of your
Crimson.
sweater.
is that
Yeah.
crimson?
That's crimson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that the color?
Like the crimson. What's it?
Dynamo.
Crimson Dot.
The Crimson
That's it.
Dynamo.
or the Flash?
The streak.
The Scarlet Speedster.
The scarlet. It's scarlet.
It's Scarlet.
It's scarlet. It's scarlet in color.
Ew.
Which is
sticky.
Yeah, because you think it's going to be crunchy, like almost like Fruit Loops.
Are we allowed to eat it?
Yeah, now we could eat
Yeah,
it.
the Fruit Loops though can be kind of.
Hold on. I'm gonna take.
you know?
Oh no. Oh no.
Rob says the smell is too fast for your nose.
Yo,
Oh, it's out of here.
why is
Nice.
it?
Oh, this
Why
is
is it
softer
sticky?
than I would
Why
have
is it
thought.
sticky?
Why
right?
is it wet?
It's soft.
N-
No milk, right? Oh, it's
This
yeah.
would be horrible in milk because this would evaporate. This would melt.
I thought that the no smell was an issue, but actually, I think the main issue is the fact that there's no fucking flavor.
There's like a cardboard taste
There's
to
a
it too.
little hint of a flavor.
no,
Yeah.
there's not. It's
No, I
like
can
this
taste
is
a hint.
this is
Yeah.
eating cornflakes. It's just
No, there's a
Cornflakes has a flavor.
there's
It tastes
no,
like corn.
no, I don't know about that, but this does have a hint of a flavor. It's not overpowering. I'll say that.
It's not overpowering.
Yeah.
no,
There it is.
it's
It's got an after flavor.
yeah, it's just sweet after flavor. There's no
Ooh, it's
actual
not even
flavor.
I don't know
flavor.
if it's after. I don't know if it's sweet. It's
Terry,
not,
do you want some of this?
it's not a good aftertaste at all.
That's a yes.
I think you should have some, Terry.
Come get some.
I'll tell you what. I'll try some later, but
Give me
Okay.
some.
if you want, you can
Yeah.
jump into your main review while you eat it.
All right. Let's
Yeah,
yeah.
let's get into the review.
I'm gonna give this
Oh,
a.
these cake bites.
This is how many? What
I'm gonna give
what
this
would
a
you
1 lightning bolt out of 5.
Okay. And each one will have a different scale
Yeah.
and icon.
The
Yeah.
one lightning bolt. Yeah, I think I got
It kind of
one.
collapses quicker than you would think in your mouth, right?
Yeah,
Like cotton candy, sort of, you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which makes me think that if you added milk to this,
It was
So
just
red
like
milk.
yeah.
it's funny that you went to Monster Mania. I know we're about to get into our review. When I got this, I got this because I was looking for Nightmare on Elm Street cereal.
Oh.
I saw that at a small little like knockoff convention I saw out by the airport.
Yeah.
And I started to buy it, but the expiration date was 2018. And
Uh,
was
I still would have.
I
it's
would've
probably
eaten
just
it.
I still
Best
would have
Buy,
taken it.
I would have eaten
You
it.
know.
I would have
Mm,
eaten it.
If there's
I wonder
nothing,
if they were red and green circles.
Oh man.
little
Right.
little sweaters.
Cool.
I don't know.
What were you
Oh,
saying?
let's see if you start up the. I'll see if
You do
there's
this
actually
maze?
a Funko in there.
All right.
I'm
So
gonna call those Crapple Jacks.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. So our intrepid producer tried it. If you don't love it,
It's not into it.
mm,
You,
all
I
right.
gotta be buried in the
I'm
cereal.
suffering from diarrhea right now.
I told you. I told you.
All right, guys.
Season 1.
Oh wait, give me that. I want to
Give
see
you-
it.
No, you can see it. Unopen it. Open. No,
Oh.
you open
I
it.
will. I will.
But it's Brian's. Brian gets it.
Thank
He's
you,
the
Len.
Flash guy.
That's very nice.
Aw, but you
Now-
wouldn't get the Nightmare on Elm Street cereal?
It was 2018. I was thinking
It's on the
about
table now. I gotta open it.
if you
I think
didn't
it
have a
would
kid,
further
I'd
that
give it
way.
to you.
Oh, thank you. You're thinking about my son. All right, so listen, it's time to get on to our main
Aw.
review. We've been dillying and dallying long enough.
It's over
Black
by
Panther
then.
came
See
out
you.
this week. Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda
As-
forever.
Don't do it, Terry. Sticky, soft, and a faint aftertaste is not a Michelin star rating. says Rob
Did
Patey.
it get louder?
Too late. He did it. It is. How is it getting louder? I'm getting louder. All right. Why don't you tell us about Black Panther?
Black Panther Wakanda Forever, ladies and gentlemen, directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, Danae Guerrera, Lupita Nyong'o, Tinak Herrera, and Winston Duke. Queen Ramonda, Shuri M'Baku Okoye, and the Dora Milaje fight to protect their nation from intervening world powers in the wake of King T'Challa's death. As the Wakandans strive to embrace their next chapter, the heroes must band together with Nakia and Everett Ross. No, they don't. To forge a new path for their beloved kingdom.
So first thing,
know by now that these descriptions are like
ridiculous.
Descriptions
straight from IMDb, right?
Yeah.
One of the funniest headlines I saw was that we got to get rid of Everett Ross. He is the most egregious diversity hire of our time, which is true. He had nothing to do in this movie.
Oh, except be a friend.
He was a friend.
He was a talking plot device. It's fine.
That's all he was.
I was happy to see Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah.
She also didn't do anything.
She was also.
We should also say, spoiler alert.
Oh, yes.
We're going to be spoiling Wakanda Forever. If you haven't seen it yet, we'll give our quick rundowns, our quick thoughts without spoilers, but then we will let you know when it's spoiler time. So we won't do anything except for, I guess, Julia Louis-Dreyfus shows up. Sorry. Len, what did you think of Wakanda Forever?
I enjoyed it a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was a movie that had a huge task in front of it because it had to deal with the loss of the central character,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the lead character, the main character in the film. But it dealt with it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, when the movie comes on, you're in the you return to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
It dealt with it thoughtfully, smartly, intelligently, and then I think that the rest of the film, his absence is felt. The character Black Panther's absence is felt, but it's felt tonally in the movie, but it helps actually you interrogate everyone's place in the story, in the world that they have built. And I thought that it was very smart as the film that has a lot to say with how we deal with grief, which I think is spot on, considering that this is a film that was created in the midst of the pandemic when the world had to deal with a great deal of grief. And I thought that this was the first Marvel Cinematic Universe film that actually was about something real substantial outside of just connective tissue of this whole universe. I thought all of the performances were great, every one of them. Some of them maybe weren't necessary. I'm looking at you, Martin Freeman and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, because y'all probably didn't need to be in the movie, but you were there and what you did was okay. I thought that the world building of Wakanda, the continuing this world of the future, was magnificent. I thought the world of Telecon was felt and real. I felt like I was underwater. I just loved everything about it. I don't think it's the greatest action that's ever been put to a film, but I don't think Ryan Coogler is concerned about that. I think he's concerned about telling the story and building it around you caring about these characters, because we've all seen the action. We've all seen these fight scenes before. But it's still there, and they're still great. And I think the end of this film and the mid-credit scenes will wreck you. They will absolutely wreck you.
I will say that for me, half of the movie wrecked me.
Yeah.
I felt like at some point I thought to myself, I have been choked up for half of this movie now. Like I'm just on the verge of sniffles of tears. It was a very emotional ride. I really enjoyed it. I was very interested to see what they were going to do sans Chadwick Boseman and how they're going to write around him, and the fact that obviously he has to die off screen. I think the way they handled it was what they could do, right? But there's so many powerful performances that I don't want to say I didn't miss them, because obviously I did, but I don't even know how to say it, but it was wonderful. It was a wonderful experience.
It compensated.
It compensated. Yeah. Everybody rose up.
It was an intentional void
challenge.
and not something missing.
Yes.
There you go. That's a good way to say it. Intentional void.
But the performances of everybody else were peak. They were awesome. Really well done. I really liked Shuri's struggle, going along with her on that ride of guilt and having to step up. There were some surprises in this movie that I wasn't expecting. So that was nice. There's a couple of times where I was like, oh, there's also a couple of times where I was like, oh no. So
it's true.
It was a wonderful experience. I think it's kind of amazing that they made this, because it really is a look at grief, and the fact that they didn't recast him and all that stuff is kind of amazing. You know, I feel like they could have very easily just recast him and made another superhero action movie.
And just put a little tag at the end for Chadwick Boseman, which would have been awful.
Yeah. So a lot of people were very upset. Yeah, I had a customer in my shop yesterday who was just really upset that they didn't recast him, and he was really nervous about how the movie was going to be. But I thought it was great. I thought it was awesome. My wife and I both had like a lot of emotions while watching it. My wife was still talking about it today, which is not like her. Most movies we like go watch and that's kind of the end of it. But she was still like looking up things. She was Googling stuff about the movie this morning while we were having coffee and stuff. So I was kind of enjoying that aspect of it as well. So highly recommend, man. This is a great movie. What'd you think, Brian?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't have anything in particular to add to what you're about to say, but yeah, I mean, I felt a lot of similar ways to how you guys felt. It struck me a comics parallel that he is like Captain Marvel, right? The original Captain Marvel of Marvel, who dies, right, of an illness and doesn't come back.
Cancer.
Yeah. And doesn't come back. And this struck me in a sort of similar way. I was thinking now, like Tony Stark died, but he died a heroic kind of comics death. This was an out of their control, not the kind of thing that they can face.
Which they kept connected to the plot of the first movie. It was very impressive.
Yes. Yeah, in a way.
Saving him was impossible because Killmonger destroyed.
Right. He'd had some of the heart-shaped herb.
Right. I forgot. Yeah, you're right.
Which is where the anger, the guilt comes from.
Yeah.
The ability to be able to potentially save your brother if you just had that one thing.
Yeah.
That you've had your whole life, except right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was great. I don't think the reaction of I wanted them to recast him is wrong necessarily. Like, the character is a very important character, and I think it's perfectly valid for people to be like, well, now we don't have that character in pop culture ongoing. But
especially this one, which resonated in a very big way.
Exactly. Right. It was a very powerful and I think very important model of behavior and how things can and should be and all that kind of stuff.
Also sets a precedent. For if anyone else passes, they're like, oh, well, that character's done with now too. Or do they just recast him? And
well,
if they do recast him, how come he gets recast?
They just did Harrison Ford as General Ross.
It's case by case, right?
Here we go.
Right. I think it's case by case, and I don't think that they were wrong at all to make that decision. But I also wouldn't have thought that way if they had chose the other thing.
What I like about it though is it's the creative decision that the filmmakers wanted to make.
Sure,
it wasn't Marvel having a blanket rule of recast, don't recast.
Oh, I thought Kevin Feige had made that decision.
Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige made that decision. It wasn't like it's not a mandate of Marvel to not recast things. Yeah,
but that being
based
said,
off of what the story you're telling,
I very much agree with what you guys said about how this handled that loss very well and as an integral part of the story, and made it, like you said, no, not not an absence.
Yeah.
An avoid.
It was intentional.
It was intentional. Right.
No.
I loved it. I mean, I'm not going to say anything extra that you guys said until we get into spoilers. I like stepping away from my impressed reaction and my emotional reaction. There are like 2 or 3 things that like, I guess nitpicks.
Yeah.
But they are not the kind of things that diminished the experience of this movie. It's just like preferences. I do think that the subplot with Everett Ross, I actually do think that it was kind of vital, because they make a big point in the movie of T'Challa kind of creating this mess and not being around to deal with it. And they do that by showing the international stage of the French sending mercenaries, America pressing on them, potentially wanting to strike. And the introduction to that story was the Everett Ross and
it's a good point.
Val.
Yeah, but the real introduction to that story was the and this is not much of a spoiler because it's at the top of the movie.
The beginning
was the mercenaries going in.
Yeah.
And really, outside of them just checking in and getting some little bits of information from Everett Ross the rest of the way, he really doesn't play that much big of a part.
That's all it was, though. Just check in and information. He is not a driver of the plot. He is literally just connective tissue. In a lot of ways, a bunch of these characters were just connective tissues. I didn't find it egregious.
I would also say Everett Ross's plot, like maybe his own arc, because now he is no longer a trusted member.
Yeah, he's a fugitive.
Yeah, let's get into spoilers.
Actually,
before we do, just real quick for the people, if you want to split out because we're going to spoil the movie. Does everyone here recommend it? Do you give it? How many stars do you give it?
I recommend it. 15 stars.
15 stars out of 2.
17.
Well, I'll give it 17 whole stars.
Nice.
Oh,
If we give it
I
out,
just spoke off
if
the
it's
cuff.
out of
It was
17,
out of 17.
then it's 17 stars. If it's
Okay.
out of 20, then it's 20
stars.
stars.
what if it's 3 stars?
If it's 3 stars, then it's 3 out of 3.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's whatever out of whatever stars you want.
Hundy.
If you
Just a
want
full
bagels,
100%.
What if it's star or no star?
Star.
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 So yeah, definitely go see it. If you haven't yet, get out to the theater. Go see Black Panther Wakanda Forever. We're about to get into spoilers.
Spoiling time. Time to talk about the movie that you haven't already seen. It's spoiling time.
Still going.
So
You
turn
don't
off
have
the
to go
show.
home, but you can't be
here.
Sam Costa says
Y'all
star.
miss me.
Stars.
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 So I loved the movie, cried
Yeah,
a
you
couple
did.
times.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
It was so incredible. Like the experience was relatively intense. I kept my composure 98% of the entire time. In the mid-credit sequence, which I won't spoil yet, we can talk about it collectively because I think it's just like skipping ahead. I reacted in a specific way to which my wife hit me up and said, "Shut up." Because when they reveal a character in the background, I actually said, "Fuck you." Like, no fucking way. Like, I couldn't, because it was so obvious, but also not at all.
yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was just like, fuck you, movie.
Yeah.
Was that a
But-
good?
Yes, no,
Good-
that was
good FU?
Yeah, it was like it's just like it was almost like a involuntary reaction of like, why?
Yeah.
This stuff you've already take me through the ringer.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna show me a legacy,
Yeah.
and I can't handle this right
Yeah.
now. Fuck you,
I
movie.
was good. I actually was good for most of the movie. I actually didn't cry in the movie, but there was one moment when I started to well up, and that was, since we're in spoiling moment, it was when Angela Bassett's character, the Queen,
Man.
when
Mother,
when she goes, I felt the tears welling up. The only reason they didn't come is because I was I saw the movie with my partner, Vincent, and at that moment, Vincent audibly in the entire, she's like, "Oh, this is the bullshit."
Yeah. You mentioned that last time.
it was the reaction of all the other characters was devastating. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I think it wasn't Shuri, it was Okoye's reaction.
Yes,
Because literally 5 minutes before that, she got abandoned by her mother, reamed and abandoned by her.
I like that she calls her mother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. I loved Namor.
Well, wait a minute. Before we get to Namor,
interesting.
I'm sorry. Let's deal with from the top.
Okay.
How they dealt with the loss of Chadwick Boseman, because like we mentioned, it is literally when the movie
cold
opens up.
Yeah.
You're in the midst of he is dying. You don't see him, of course. It is off camera. Letitia Wright, Shuri, is in the lab and she's trying to replicate the herb and fails at it. Yeah. And what I loved about that is that it didn't waste any time returning you back to the shock and awe that the world felt when you heard that he passed, right? And they kind of write into it a little bit that, you know, he had been suffering in silence with a disease, which is exactly what you learned about Chadwick Boseman. He didn't want to, you know, upset anyone. They actually then write into in there later on about some things that he did secretively in regards to his family that Chadwick Boseman did as well. So you return immediately to that moment, to that shock and awe of that moment. And I thought that was really smart to just get it, boom, out of the way. Like, you know, that's even before the credits. Just get it out of the way.
It was so on the nose, but it was incredibly well done. Having Shuri, because this has informed the rest of the movie for her, choosing to continue to work instead of go visit him before he passed, because she was just dead set on recreating this thing to save her brother, because they're heroes, they're superheroes, that's what they do. And it was and that informed her arc the entire movie,
which I think was really the right call too, even though it turned out poorly. Like, she's a brilliant scientist. If she had gotten it right then, that would have been the thing to do, you know? Yeah.
And think of how easy it could have been for them, even if it wasn't like, you know, in an action piece, but like even if it was on some type of screen, you saw something happen to the Black Panther, because Black Panther is fully covered. It could have been just, you know, somebody else. So you really could have done that. It was smart not to go
to bring up Man of Steel, but I'm going to bring up Man of Steel. When these stories with larger than life gods on earth, having something that you can't punch be what takes you down is more devastating than any kind of fight with the Hulk or Zod.
Which was great in Superman.
It was great in Superman that Clark couldn't stop his father's heart attack.
Right.
But in Man of Steel, he gets taken by a tornado and he's like, nah, kid, just chill there. Like that, the emotional impact that these wildly capable fictional characters can't stop something that's so pedestrian, like illness, is very effective story point for me.
Hit it hard. And I think my favorite performance of the whole movie was Angela Bassett.
She was very good.
She commanded every moment she was on screen, and I was not ready for her to go. I thought we had in my naivete, I thought this would be a movie about just grieving Chadwick Boseman and the Black T'Challa. And the fact that his mom goes too, I was not prepared.
Well, even I saw even so much about, you know, that she does pass, but she's grieving his loss, because you remember that she had lost her husband. And at the moment that you really are faced with it is in a moment where she thinks she's lost her daughter. And her rage about that, and how she kind of like, you know, she definitely reads Okoye in that scene, but she reads everybody in that room. Because she, you know, she takes you back to the first Black Panther.
Even M'Baku is like, I have nothing to contribute here, because she's going to eat my face off.
Exactly.
And then in the midst of those emotions, she probably could have saved herself and swum up, but she saves Riri.
What a scene.
You know,
what a scene. Man.
And I'll tell you, there were a couple of times in this movie where, like in every action movie, where a character could die,
Yeah.
And I was like, they're not going to do that.
Right.
You know, this happened. You know, they're not going to kill off another major character.
Yeah. That was
So,
my thought.
Very much surprised.
We're watching her try to save Riri.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a long shot, it's a wide shot.
Yeah.
And there's
Beautiful
all
shot.
this
It's a
beautiful
beautiful
shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it has taken her a long time
Yeah.
to get to the surface.
Yeah.
How are they going to explain? Oh, she's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The other thing, she was phenomenal in here. If she was the best performer, I'm not necessarily saying, but if she was the best performer, the second best was Angela Bassett's shoulders, because Angela Bassett's shoulders need their own credit. Because what people don't realize is that Angela Bassett is in her 60s.
Yeah, she's like
Angela-
65, 64.
65 years old.
I looked it up. Yeah.
And she is like this dog.
Mhm.
And what this movie reveals to you that no other movie revealed to you is that as badass as the Dora Milaje are,
Mhm.
the prototype for the Dora Milaje is the queen.
Yeah.
Know this.
There's another body part of Lupita Nyong'o deserves its own movie.
Okay, all right. All right. All right.
Oh,
Which
one? Her rump, her derriere.
But yeah, was there anything we didn't like?
I have a couple things.
There was I don't know if this is even something I didn't like, but two things regarding Namor.
Okay, yeah, because I cut no love.
I love that name. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie, I love that name.
That was fun.
That was the thing I didn't like.
Oh,
I was
really?
like,
No,
I was like,
Namor.
his name's Namor. I don't need. The pronunciation I don't care about, but I'm like, you could just say that's his name.
Yeah.
Why is there an explanation as to it's like a portmanteau?
Yeah.
He took his name,
It's great.
and I was like,
Okay.
I mean, his name
name's
is
Namor.
Kukulakan.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it's
no,
like
no,
his-
no, no, no.
that's what they
no.
call
His
him.
name is not Kukulakan. Kukulakan is a
Oh,
god, and
that's
they
right.
call him.
yeah.
they call him
Kukulkan is
Kukulkan.
he's just like they believe him to be the living embodiment.
So what
of
do
him
they
or
call
something.
him?
Like Harry?
He said he
Because-
literally introduces himself as my people call me Kukulakan, my enemies call me Namor.
Yeah.
He said a third thing too.
Did he?
Yeah,
Shoot.
like my mother named me this thing or
Steve.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was kind of like, well,
I
first of all,
don't-
so his name's not Namor, and also, I didn't think that was something that benefited from an explanation. The other thing being, the city that he lived in was not from time immemorial, right? It was relatively recent, which I thought was an odd change. I didn't necessarily dislike it, but it was like 600 years old as opposed to, we have ruled the seas forever
Yeah.
kind of deal. And so all that is under the sea is ours, and you stay away from the vibranium.
But hold on a second. I just got to jump in here.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what Namor's last name is?
Smith.
No.
Namor,
He has a last name?
Namor Mackenzie.
Oh, because his father's name was
Yeah,
Mackenzie. Does he go by that though?
No, I think he's looking up.
That's what it's. That's his
It
real
does
name. Is
say
In the
Namor
comics.
Mackenzie.
In the
Yeah.
comics.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I didn't actually mind that separation because they kind of like keep the essence of the origin of Atlantis, but they want to separate it from the history of
Well, and I
Atlantis.
think they also wanted to position the Atlanteans as a maligned people, right? Because these are Mesoamericans who had been affected very negatively by colonization too, and contrast that with Wakanda and like give them that reason for
but
going.
They derived from Mesoamericans. They weren't. Well,
they were.
Yeah, but they became mutants and then under the sea and then came back to bury the mother.
Right.
Because she wanted to be buried.
So it was almost like a split.
But even that was like
600 years ago.
I mean, what was that like?
So two
20
different
years?
cultures.
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
So like it's a split from like they both derived from the same culture, and then it was like then they evolved separately.
Well, as far as the culture goes, for sure. He remembers though, like he was like 10 when they went back up on land.
When they went back
like,
up,
tore up the Spanish.
And they do mention he aged slowly, so he's
because like his mother,
700-800 years old.
In those years that he aged maybe 10, like you said, his
which
mother
is like 200 years.
Yeah.
But I think they all age slowly.
No, just him.
Just him.
Most
Because
of
that was him.
Because he was born.
Oh, right.
Hal is in the chat saying, my wife held my hand so hard during the first few minutes of Wakanda Forever, took us back to losing our son in 2020. But in the end and the reveal, if his son, we enjoyed the movie. Oh, reveal of his son, we enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, that the opening, they did the Chadwick Boseman,
the montage
over
where
all of the Marvel stuff, which is usually a bunch of different scenes
with no music.
Yeah,
so
that was nice.
in my auditorium, it was just
sniffles,
like a cacophony of just like holding breath during the, because as much as people like, you know, you go to the theater for a giant experience that just, you know, bombards all of your senses for the most part, other than smell and taste. When there is silence in a movie, and I'm talking not like people are quiet because there's still ambient noise. When it's silent, it's striking. Like with Last Jedi, the 12 seconds of silence, you're just like, okay.
They did it twice in this movie. So they did it during the Marvel reveal, and then at the end when Shuri's on the beach and she's remembering her brother,
her moments with him.
All of that was silent as well.
Things that I did not love.
Do you want to stay on Namor?
No, we only got about 5 minutes left. I didn't love the Ironheart design.
Yeah,
the final design.
I really did not like that final design. He looked like a transformer in the middle of a different movie. I kind of hated it. Because not because it's not comic accurate, just because it aesthetically didn't look like it belonged with the rest of the movie.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It stuck out to me, and I didn't care for it too much.
I would assume that's on purpose because she is not of the same
I'm
design
not talking
aesthetic. Like we've got the designs.
Angels kind of didn't as
those two I didn't care for. I didn't care for the like tech design. I liked the characters. I liked the story. It's fine. It's just I didn't like her costume.
I like Dominique Thorne though.
Yes,
she was great.
Fun.
She was fantastic.
Do we know her from something else?
No.
She's not.
Introducing
Dominique Thorne. She was in she's had like smaller roles in other films, like if Bill Street could talk.
That like it's just the character design. Also, I didn't love that final battle. The Black Panther and Namor, fucking awesome.
But the fight on the boat
on the ship, it was so meh.
Yeah,
I wanted them to just cut away from it for good.
I did like how though it was, you know, when it's decided at the end that they come back and they're like, all right, stop fighting. It's like very obvious that had she killed him, all of them would have died.
Yeah.
You know?
All of it would have been effing awful. But that's
they're
just
definitely losing.
But honestly, it reminded me that I felt the same way about the first Black Panther.
Yeah.
I was very invested in Killmonger and T'Challa. I was not very invested
it's just something else happening
in Wakandans fighting Wakandans, and it just wasn't really blocked incredibly well. I don't think Ryan Coogler's strength is massive. His strength is character driven, and the fact that they had to like throw in those battles with mechs and stuff. I was like, this is not really like second unit could have taken care of this. I don't think this was his strength. I didn't really care for it. Yeah,
for all we know, second unit
did, and it's not that great. Like maybe he didn't give a shit.
Yeah,
and like second unit could handle that, but like. It didn't bring it down to nothing. It just was like, I want to stay with them because that's more appealing, and this is not. Yeah.
But I would also say, her in the outfit, her in the Black Panther outfit, very tiny.
She's so
very
little.
itty bitty.
She's so little.
Yeah.
Although her intro scene in the Black Panther outfit,
dope as hell.
Jazzed.
Yeah.
I was like, I was so happy about that.
The way the movie ended was just awesome. It literally kept teasing you with where like the end. Was like, oh, she's going to save Ross. No, she's not. Oh, she's going to go do her name day. No, she's not. Oh, and then she's in the beach in Haiti. And I'm like, this is great.
Now, hang on a second. Is M'Baku
I think he's going
king
to be,
of Wakanda?
I think he's going to be a leader.
Challenging for the king, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And
but he seems to be doing it in a more lighthearted, like, because they seem pretty close kind of way.
Oh, he is an advisor to her. That it is not, like, if anything, it's just like, you could do the diplomacy bullshit. I'm not ready, and I'm cool.
Maybe she's just not interested. Maybe that was an off panel, off screen conversation of like, I'm not interested in being queen.
It set all of these. It set all of these wonderful characters up with their own like arcs. Like completed all of these separate arcs. Like what Okoye is now a superhero.
Yeah,
she can free
with a effing mech suit.
Yeah.
M'Baku is going to be the king regent of Wakanda.
Ironheart's going off to her own
series.
Oh, is she getting a show?
Yeah, she's getting a show. Which is why I thought I was like, oh, that's how it ended. I was like, oh, right, she's got a show coming.
She also did. Oh, that's true. Sam is in the chat saying Shiri also is known for not liking the rituals and traditions.
See, that's why.
I'm sorry. That brings up a really great scene. There is a scene in the first movie where M'Baku comes to challenge T'Challa for the kinghood, the crown, the kingening, and he winds up saying something about, we've got a princess who doesn't even care about a girl who doesn't care about the traditions of our people and all that sort of stuff. And there's a beautiful conversation between the two of them that they're having in this movie. And she quotes him as like, oh, but I'm just a girl who doesn't care about the traditions. And he says, you have known too much death to be considered a little girl or something like that. And it was just beautiful.
I love when
really
Winston Duke in this movie was just like, he was a pillar.
And I know we gotta go, but I also love the cameo by Michael B. Jordan.
Oh,
I was
very
so
unexpected.
excited.
Very cool.
And her anger and guilt pulled him from so good.
At no point did I buy that she was ever going to become a Killmonger type character. Like I knew you knew she was going to become.
Right, just make the right choice.
But you understood why he was the one that appeared before her in the astral plane.
But then like her mother showed up later. Before we go, really quick, they don't have to recast because they've got a legacy character now.
Yeah.
They got it.
After a while,
in like 15 years, he can be.
I mean,
will he then be the king of Wakanda? What's happening here?
Yeah,
the line of
the prince,
the line of succession. Yeah, he's like
right. But then so I wondered about the M'Baku thing. Like she doesn't like rituals and traditions, so she's still the queen.
Yeah.
She just isn't showing up for this day. But then I don't know how the royal succession goes.
I don't think it. I think
M'Baku's going to kill the kid.
Yeah,
like those two princes in England.
Not everything is Game of Thrones.
Oh. All right. Hey, if you like us, you should help us by giving us money by going to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. Thank you to everyone who's already a patron. I'm working on some new stuff new tiers for the patrons. So be on the lookout for that. Len, where can people find you online?
Hey, you can check me out at Bad Tribble. Check out my podcast, The Michaud Mission. Look us up. We're everywhere.
Aren't you doing a live thing soon?
Yes, we are doing a live thing, but we don't have time to talk about that.
Okay.
Next week.
Twitter, Mr. Bartocci, MrBartocci. there.
For now. You can find me at BrianLiebDesign.com.
Yep.
Brian with an I, Lieb as in boy, design.com.
All right.
Let me amend that. It's NoelTheWriter.com.
Oh,
all one word.
Nice.
Yeah, that's better than Twitter.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We love you. We will talk at you later, specifically.